fill in the blank, and then for
I
you
don't
to
know if
justify.
you're trying to fold me, like consider me folded. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just getting into this stuff.
Okay, so you want to say that your reasoning is reliable. Then Godless asks you, how do you do that without assuming that your reasoning is reliable in the first
And
place?
I'm saying I do assume it.
Okay. So it just means that you're just biting the bullet there and just admitting that you don't actually know that your reasoning is reliable. Okay, so let's go on to your name. How do you know that your name is Sean? You just assume it to be the case?
No, that's based on the that's justified by my belief that my perceptual experiences are mostly veridical.
Your perceptual experience is mostly veridical, okay? And when you say that your perceptual experience is mostly veridical, you're going to have to assume direct realism, unless if you have an argument. So what's the argument for direct realism?
Well, I do want to um, be a direct realist, but I couldn't give you a PPC
Okay, so
argument.
you
Yeah.
just want it to be the case, but you don't have anything outside of your instrumental reasons. You don't have an actual count. You just have your feelings, which I don't give a shit about. So that's fine. We can move on. So
Well, I'm not that well
just
versed in
tell
this
me
stuff
one
yet, so
thing,
if you think you're like
because
getting a big win off of
you don't even
destroying
know
me,
what
good for you.
you don't even know how exactly you would argue for direct realism. You don't even know the means in which you can even argue for your own name. And it just appears that you don't even know how you're going to give a non-question begging argument for why your reasoning is reliable. So I'm not sure how you know anything, Sean. How is it the case that you know anything?
Well, I guess I don't get to know anything unless I have like an argument from my position from your point of view, but I don't accept that
Why don't you accept that?
because I think that this is not it just doesn't jive with my intuition. I think like everybody knows lots of things, even if they couldn't give arguments for like how they know why they know.
See, but I don't see why you're so reliant on intuition when, for the vast majority of the history of modern epistemology, doing away with intuitions has helped us with certain things like Gettier cases, right? For example. So I don't even know why you want to defer so much to intuitions. I have the intuition that you don't know anything, and you're just being a clown right now.
I don't really care if you think I'm being a clown. Go fuck yourself.
Well, that's not an argument, but just consider it that Sean doesn't have an argument. Sean doesn't even have an argument for how he knows his own name. At least not a non-question begging one. And he refuses to give one because he doesn't have anything but his sophistry and his epistemically disabled behavior.
I mean, my position is that like I mean, okay, sure, like, but I mean, I'm not. You haven't changed my mind. You haven't convinced me that I don't know anything. Like,
Well, I think you do. I
yeah,
think you do know that you don't know anything.
that's ridiculous. Like,
Slight hand of the cheek there. But on a more serious note, just tell me, what do you know, Sean? And how do you know it?
I know everything that I'm perceptually experiencing.
Yeah, and again, what did I say to that?
I don't know
You
what
would
you
have to
said.
give an argument. You would have to give an argument for direct realism, which you have failed catastrophically, right? To
Okay.
give, and now you don't even know what the title of this poll is either. So you
Yeah,
would
I
have to
pinned
give
a
an
link, guys.
argument for.
Everybody go vote on the poll I pinned in the link, please.
Well, by that logic, nobody knows anything, right? Then like nobody can be.
Exactly, that's my
Well, but that's
position.
Godless's position. That's Godless's position,
So then
and
no one can answer that question.
you have failed to show with your ineptitude to give arguments as to how her position is incorrect.
I told you, I'm just getting into like reading about this stuff. I don't know why you think this
But I
is
don't
some like
think you
big
know that
like.
either. I don't think you know that you're like getting into reading stuff. Because if you
Maybe
were
I'm not.
reading the stuff, you would give an argument.
I don't know. What do you mean? I did. gave you something like an argument. I'm just saying I don't really feel like confident like trying to argue with you, like especially given like you're like asking me questions in a particular way that I just don't know how to answer. Like, what do you want to do? It's like,
Well, the fact that you don't know how to answer them is
it's
greater
like if you
evidence.
walked up to like
It's
a
greater
5-year-old and
evidence
were
for
like,
Godless's position. It's greater evidence for Godless's position that you don't know how to argue against her, but that's fine.
like Godless's position was that nobody can know anything.
Yeah, that's the point. You don't know how to argue against her. That's in the domain of anything, right?
Does that prove that nobody can know anything? Is that
No,
even
I'm
like
just
good
saying
evidence that nobody can know
categorically,
anything?
it's categorically, yeah, it's within that category of you not knowing anything. That's one of the things that you don't know how to do is like how to argue, right?
Okay, so what?
Well, I mean, then you're just admitting that you're a sophist.
Why am I a sophist?
Well, because you want to go in here, you want to like engage in fallacious reasoning, and then you want to say, "Oh, I don't care if I engage in fallacious reasoning. I don't care about arguments. I'm just here to debate, but I'm not actually going to provide anything."
I didn't say any of that. I just said that I don't know how to answer your questions. That doesn't mean I don't care. And if I'm
No,
reasoning
Sean, to be
fallaciously,
fair,
then what is
I
the
asked you for an I asked
fallacy?
you for an argument. Shut up. I asked you for an argument for direct realism, right? Because your claim hinges upon this very assumption that your perception of the world is veridical. And I asked you, like, that's going to presuppose a certain theory, right? A perception and how it relates to the world. And then I asked you, what's the justification for that theory? And you didn't provide one. So I have no reason to believe that you're justified, right, at all over your perception of like the external world.
I don't even understand what you're asking me for, so I don't know what you think you're like
Well,
big-winded.
I'm asking you because you apparently seem to be confused, right? You want to make this claim that you have like this sort of like intuition about the world, and then you want to burden shift and say, well, Godless, you have to give me a reason as to why I have to doubt my seemings. No, she doesn't, right?
Yeah.
You're the one presuming that seemings count in favor of justification, that your perception is somehow veridical as to how the world is. Okay, give an argument for direct realism then and stop dodging, right? Is that what you that's I mean, apparently you don't even know how to dodge correctly. Right? Because if you knew, it wouldn't be so obvious, right? Everyone in here knows that you're dodging. Even Godless, right? And that's somehow evidence against her position.
I don't even understand. I'm clearly not dodging. I'm literally saying I don't
Well,
know what
I
you're
know that
asking.
you don't I know that you don't understand, but that's the point. That's the point of you being Sean, right?
It's not the same thing as dodging.
No, I'm just saying it's part of your nature to dodge in these very obsequious ways, so
I'm not dodging at all.
fine. Well,
I've answered every single one of your
okay.
questions to the best
No,
of
you
my
didn't
ability.
answer. Okay, so how is it the case that you know that your perception of the world is veridical? How is that justified?
I said I answered your questions to the best of my ability. I didn't
Okay,
say
answer me
I
that.
answered them.
Answer me that.
How do I know that my perceptions of the world are veridical?
No, again, how do you know that direct realism is true? How do you know that your theory of perception is the correct theory rather than just some other one?
Um, some other theory of what of
I want to know, how is it the case that you know that the external world exists? You said your perception. Okay, what's the account that you have, right? That makes it the case that your perception of the world furnishes justification, right, for that belief. What is it?
um. Okay, so the theory is a version of foundationalism. Foundationalism says that there are certain beliefs, foundational beliefs, which we are justified in holding and which do not depend on any other beliefs for their justification. Perceptual beliefs are foundational. Um, we're not saying that foundational beliefs don't depend on anything else for their justification. We're saying that they depend on other beliefs for their justification. Um, and perceptual beliefs depend on something else for their justification, and those are perceptual experiences.
Yeah, so two things. Number one, do you have any sort of defeater under your foundationalism that could render the type of global skepticism that Gigi is endorsing impossible?